Okay, I'm going to show you today how to make a cheesecake from scratch. You're going to need, I'll put a list up before the video of everything that you're going to need. But anyway, this is the graham crackers, and we have a leak. But I basically I crushed up 2 packs of these, and I just used the meat tenderizer, not the pointy side. Still ended up with a leak though. And you're also going to need one of these spring foam pans. This allows this border to come off and leaves you with basically just the tray platter. You're also going to need 3 packages of cream cheese softened at room temperature. But for right now, what we're going to do is work on the crust. Again, this is all from scratch, which I prefer. Sometimes, you can go anytime and buy a box of cheesecake, or buy it already made and whatever. But I like to do this. It just adds a little bit more of a personal touch. It ends up absolutely delicious, and everybody loves it. So, okay, so for the graham cracker crust, you're going to need, let me see, 1/3 cup of butter, which ends up being like 5 1/3 cup of tablespoons of butter. You're going to melt that. You're going to need 1 3/4 cup of graham crackers crushed. Now, I like a lot of graham crackers, so I always do more than that. You're also going to need, let me see, the whole recipe calls for 1 1/4 cup of sugar, but for the graham cracker crust, you're going to just use 1/4 cup of that. So basically, graham crackers crushed, 5 1/3 tablespoon of butter or margarine, I prefer butter, and 1/4 cup of your butter. So once the butter is melted, we're going to mix all that together, and then we will get our crust going. So, okay, so we have our melted butter, and I'm going to, I try to do this by not dirtying as many dishes as possible, but I think even if we use the mixer for the graham crackers, I can get everything out so I wouldn't have to wash it. Then I can do my cheesecake stuff in there. I know, that's pathetic, but I have to do the dishes. I don't like doing the dishes. Okay, so again, the recipe calls for 1 1/3 cup. I'm sorry, 1 3/4 cup. We are going to do every bit of 2 cups. And now you can save any graham crackers that aren't used. I'm going to mix this up and see how I like it. I have a leak in the bag and it's getting everywhere, so I'm going to fix it. If they don't all get out first. Yeah, watch that whenever you're crushing them up. It is really easy to break the bag, especially if you buy the cheap bags. Okay, brief interruption. Okay, that is done. We don't need that. Well, we'll see how it turns, but then we need 1/4 cup of sugar. And I do this pretty loosely. I'm not real particular. I used to be, but and I'm going to change this out. Okay, we're going to mix this up. Now, we're going to see how it looks. Basically, you want it to be able to sit and spread throughout this whole bottom of the pan, along with the sides as high as possible. So again, if you don't have enough, if you don't think it's going to spread out enough, add some more butter to kind of make it go a little bit further. So I think you can kind of see the consistency, and I'm telling you, I don't think that's enough. So I'm going to add the rest of the stick of the butter. So that's going to be a whole stick of butter that we're going to do. Alright, we just added the rest of the butter. We're mixing that up now. Might get a little messy here. While that's doing that, oh my gosh, it smells so good. It's amazing what butter and graham crackers can do. Alright, I'm going to spray this pretty good. Now this will also help your graham crackers kind of adhere to the side. Alright. Okay. Make sure you can see this here. Okay, so I'm just going to dump all this in. What? Okay, now what I usually do, you got a pretty thick layer there of graham cracker crust, which is excellent. So I am just going to go along and kind of spread it out and go up the sides. Now I'm just using the spoon, but I'm using the back side, and this will kind of allow you to, you know, push that into the side, and amazingly enough, it does stay, and it's pretty formable. The first time I did this recipe, I didn't think I really needed the spring foam pan, but, you know, it just really turned out, it just didn't look the way that it was supposed to look from a regular, you know, cake pan or whatever. And, boy, that's really hard. So I finally did get a spring foam pan, which they're not really that expensive. It was just me being lazy, I guess. Anyway, got the spring foam pan, and it just looks awesome when it's done, because it's super thick and high. So you really get the look of an expensive, delicious cheesecake. Unfortunately, Josh and I are on a diet, so if we do have any at all, it's going to be really a small piece, but now you can kind of see how easy this is to kind of manipulate along your pan, which is great, because something like this can be a little intimidating. Alright, so that's good. We're just going to set this aside now, and we're going to work on the filling. So I will be right back. Alright, we are going to work on the filling now. So first step, we're going to do the cream cheese and the remaining cup of the sugar. Now I set this out in the sun for just a little bit, still cool, but I wanted it to be a little softer. Maybe not this soft. And I did end up washing my bowl, because I was paranoid that my cheesecake was going to look all gritty because of any remaining graham cracker. And I've also preheated the stove to 350. If you're using a dark non-stick pan, you can preheat it to 325. Really soft. You can also leave it on your oven to soften, but it just helps everything kind of mesh well together if it is soft. You can do it cold, but it is going to take a little bit longer. Boy, that was nice. Okay, so there is 3 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. And again, we're going to do a cup of sugar, the remaining cup of sugar, I should say. Mix that until you can visibly tell that it's all, meshed well together. It's really not going to take that much time. Alright, so we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And 1 cup of sour cream. In my opinion, anything with sour cream and cream cheese is gonna taste good. Them individually, not so much, but okay, this is probably not smart. Just do it the right way. Especially since everybody's watching, That's a good cup, I would say, right there. Okay. Good enough. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but it's getting a little bit lumpy. So we want to just make sure that we mix it up good. What we're going to do now is add 1 egg at a time, which is a huge pain in the butt. And then we're going to mix it on low speed after each egg is added. I don't know why. I am certainly no professional, and I've witnessed how it turns out, so that helps. Okay, that's probably good. I hate cracking eggs. I've not developed a foolproof way to do it. I always get messy, and it's so annoying. Alright, that's good. See, I did it again. No shells though, that's good. Just a mess of an egg. Basically, that's it. As far as the ingredients go, that's all you're going to add. Now, I can tell that my stuff is kind of sticking on the side here. So what I'm going to do I'm just going to get this stuff off of the side, get it mixed in a little bit, and then I think I'm just going to manually mix it. Okay, so that looks nicely done. bring back our graham cracker crust. Just for the record, we could have went up higher. Okay, you can see along here the edge. I could have thinned this out, alright? But I'm not going to. Because I liked it thick. So it's now just as simple as adding this in. You can still see the lumps in there, that's okay. You just want to keep it within the graham cracker. You don't really want to disturb this or shake it or, you know, even smooth it out really a whole lot. You can do it a little bit. But just want to kind of go a little more easy because that graham cracker is fragile. You can see it kind of separate there. So, alright. That is it. We are going to bake it for 70 minutes, or basically until the center is pretty set. Now, there's a tricky part, okay? You're going to bake this for 70 minutes. And then, once, you know, provided that once the cheesecake is almost set in the oven after about 70 minutes of baking at 350, you're going to turn the oven off and open the oven door just that little bit that it'll open. You don't want it open all the way, just a little bit. And you're going to let it, let the cheesecake set in there for another hour. Once that's done, you can remove it, let it cool, which is going to take a few hours. And usually, you know, do this the day before your event, and you'll be good to go the next day. So I will show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, it's been about an hour, and you can see it has really risen. Now I'm going to shake this. You can kind of see it, see how it kind of shakes. So what I'm going to do, I turn off the oven. I'm going to leave the door open just that little bit there, and just let it set for another hour. Alright, now as you can see, it's only been about 20 minutes, and it has dropped and sunk, and is looking delicious. Stay tuned. Okay, I just took it out of the oven. It's been an hour since it's baked, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave it in the pan. I am just going to put it in the fridge, let it get completely cool. I'll probably not mess with it until tomorrow because that's what it's for, is for Easter Sunday. So I'm going to, but anyway, you know, you can add topping to this. You can add cherry topping or whatever kind of fruit topping that you prefer. You know, actually the reason that this whole thing was originated was because they don't make, like when my husband and I would go out to dinner, they don't make cheesecake with no topping or, you know, anything like that. It's just, they don't have just plain, you know, cheesecake. So that's kind of what he was longing for with the dessert, and couldn't seem to get it anywhere. So I decided to try to do this myself from scratch, and it's turned out really well. But again, we leave it plain because we prefer the plain cheesecake. Well, he does anyway. And but you can add whatever topping you like. Basically, just buy a can of cherry pie filling, and with the cherries, of course. And then you would just open that up, put it on top here, or you can even have it on the side. And then that way, whatever's left over, you can put in the fridge, and it doesn't have to get all soggy on the top. So, okay, I will probably show you what it looks like on the platter before I take it to the event that we're going to tomorrow. So, okay, see ya.